Hi there, good noon, and I was actually kind of struggling to connect, and that led to a delay of a full 60 seconds where I was so eager to see you sooner. A very good noon or good afternoon now. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep channel that is dedicated to your success as a B school aspirant. And in case you want to practice RC, no matter which exam you are preparing for, this is going to be an absolutely amazing session for you. If you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you can meet us by design and not by accident. My name is Vikrant. I am your personal coach for all things related to English and communication skills. I occasionally also dabble into the psychological aspects of preparation. So these are the things that you and I go ahead and get to talk about. Pratyusha says that the audio is not working, but the audio is streaming fine from my end. In fact, I just checked the audio on the YouTube channel too, so it's working fine. Could you please look at your end? Can somebody please drop a message for Pratyusha telling her that she needs to check her audio settings once? And you remember a couple of weeks ago we started talking about different genres. So the last time around when we met each other, we focused on passages based on psychology. The last time around we focused on passages based on philosophy, and today we plan to look at another one of those areas that trouble a lot of people at times, and that area is psychology. So what exactly is psychology? And just a quick reminder, our open mock is going to happen from 11th to 20th. If you've not registered for it yet, if you've not sat for it yet, okay, that's the audio problem from my throat's end. So if you've not attempted this test yet, please make sure that you do it at the earliest. And if you do not, you actually need to think of what psychology is and what stops you from really sitting for this particular test. So, what is psychology? Now, if you look at the definition, I'd say a simplified version is psychology is a study of human mind and behavior. And over the course of last 60-70 years, we've brought in a lot of science to it. So we call it now a scientific study of human mind and behavior. So essentially, as studies go, psychology is something that is very recent. Okay. Most of the advances that have happened in psychology have happened only in the last 150 odd years or so. Of course, the origins can be traced way back to 400-500 BC, almost to the Socratic times. After all, philosophy gave birth to everything, including psychology. But the way we know it, a major chunk of that has happened only in the last 150 years or so. So when we study psychology, we of course aim at certain things. So what exactly are the goals of psychology? So we fundamentally focus on 4 things in psychology. Those 4 things are describe, explain, predict, and change what? Our behavior and our mental processes. Our behavior and our mental processes. So that's what we typically focus on when we talk about psychology. So you get the drift? So when we say something like, say, describe, what do we do here? Any guesses? So we basically describe a particular behavior, we describe a particular way of thinking. So that's typically the first goal of psychology. If you're not even able to describe it, how would you really study it? So once you've described a particular behavior, then you go ahead and develop certain general laws from that observation. Okay. In fact, a lot of us have gone through this experiment conducted by Ivan Pavlov. Remember dogs, bell, food? So through describing the response of dogs to the sound stimulus, we developed this classic conditioning theory Now, once you describe, the next step will be to explain. Then you go ahead and talk about why this behavior occurs. And now there are going to be some more theories talking about, or more hypotheses talking about the reason behind that behavior. After that, we try to predict, and if a prediction is confirmed, then it becomes a theory. If it is not confirmed, you go ahead and reject it. And then finally, something that a lot of us are at times interested in, to change, right? So you've described, you've explained, you've predicted, but then all that learning can now be used to changing or controlling our behavior. So when you look at a lot of clinical psychology, right? Let's say people may have depression, people may have anxiety, people may have post-traumatic stress disorder. How do we go on to change the behavior, change the response? That is going to form the crux of the fourth step. And over the years, of course, there have been various branches, various steps or stages to the development of psychology. So let's go ahead and look at those steps as well. So one of the earliest things that we got in the world of psychology was something called structuralism. So in the early days of psychology, there were these two dominant theoretical perspectives. One was structuralism, and then the other, which came afterwards, was functionalism. So there is this person called Wilhelm Wundt. You can say that he was the first one who separated psychology from philosophy. So he suggested that we need to focus on breaking down the various mental processes into their basic components, right? So it is more like a trained introspection. So in this method, you ask people to think of what was going on in their minds while performing a certain task. But then this eventually proved to be an unreliable method because there is too much of individual variation, experience, the ways of reporting, plenty of subjectivity, and therefore subsequently an American psychologist, William James, he said that no, the mind is constantly changing and it is pointless to look for the structure of conscious experience. Rather, he said that our focus should be on why and how we do something. So let's look at the purpose or the function of the brain. So instead of looking at the basic components, look for the underlying cause for the behavior. And this thought process went on to affect a lot of contemporary psychology. Then a lot of us already know about Sigmund Freud, who came up with the psychoanalysis. So Freud used to say that people can be cured by making their unconscious thoughts, unconscious motivations conscious. So there are some things which are guiding your behavior. You're not even aware of those, but if you are able to bring them out to your conscious, then that's going to make a difference. So that's basically, in fact, I started talking about it. I did not change the slides. So functionalism and then psychoanalysis, but thereafter we've had this behavioristic approaches, which focus more on controlled laboratory experiment, and they reject unconscious forces. They just look at what is visible. Thereafter we had these humanistic approaches. It is also known as the third force in psychology, and these proposed the importance of subjective experiences, personal growth, something that a lot of us are at times concerned about. And then eventually, I'd say during the 1960s, early 70s, psychology began a cognitive revolution, when it adopted a rigorous scientific lab-based approach, where everything, we just started measuring everything with the help of all the new tools and technologies that were emerging, right? So we were able to look at the different brain areas linked with different types of memory and perception. We looked at cognitive development, we looked at mental illnesses and much more. Okay, so nowadays we do focus on certain specialized branches as well. We talked about one of those, clinical psychology. I personally use another one called educational psychology. Then we have cognitive psychology that focuses on our thinking itself. particularly the way our thinking, our creativity, our emotions, etc. intersect and give birth to the way we act and decide, right? So neuroscience has of course established itself as a separate branch. So study of psychology is an absolutely useful area because it can help you even in your everyday life. It can improve your communication skills, it can improve your relationships, it can help you gain this ability to manage stress. It can also be used to make better decisions, improve your mental health and your well-being. So learn psychology. That allows you to understand people better, it allows you to understand the social behavior of individuals better, and all of that knowledge can be used to improve your life and the life of others around you, particularly those that you care about. So very fascinating area. So lot of messages. Okay, now let me just check the messages. Vedant talks about mental ailments. Yeah, Vedant, yeah, definitely they do stem out of psychology, but that's not the only thing. We have a branch of psychology called social psychology, where we look at our social behavior. No mental ailments per se. Vaishnav says VARC is very easy as well as risky. Risk hai to ishq hai. आसान चीजें तो मुश्किल होती हैं. Remember, love is a simple idea, but it can be very complicated at times. Vedant's operant conditioning, reward, reinforcement, punishment. Wow. Vaishnav says, sir, today you are not replying to the chat. Yeah, I've actually studied psychology. Okay, a lot of other areas that you have not studied, you won't really have a lot to talk about. So today I was focusing merely on controlling myself. Don't talk too much. And therefore, metacognition, theory of mind, absolutely all of these things and many more. So as usual, here are some recommendations for you that you can go through, certain books that you can go through, and they will hopefully help you to gain some insight into the world of psychology. So here is one recommendation. This is a book called Psych, written by Paul Bloom. So this can be treated as a beginner's book to psychology. So I can also recommend a couple of really nice textbooks, but I think textbooks can at times be boring. This does not belong to that particular category. So Psych is one of the things that you can hopefully look at. Another book that I can recommend after Psych, if you still want to link everything together, is Everything You Need to Know to Master the Subject in One Book. It's written by Alan Potter, and thereafter I'd say that there are plenty of books that you can actually go through. There are so many books that will go ahead and help you with certain specific aspects that can make you really better. For example, here is one that I read last. This was deep work. So it talks about how you should monotask instead of multitask, and then different strategies of going about it. Then there are these books that are written about habits, Power of Habit. Charles Duhigg is one of those that you can go ahead and look at. And that reminds me, this book, somebody borrowed this copy from me, Deep Work, and did not return. About time that I call. Then there are plenty of them. There is this very popular book called The Happiness Hypothesis. You can look at that. Then there is this book called The Lucifer Effect, which is kind of based on a discredited theory now. I read this book last year called The Psychopath Test. Amazing, huh? Then there is another book which is based on case studies, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Yet another book which I found really useful in sharpening my critical thinking. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. A lot of economics professors also nowadays advise or recommend that book. So it's a very fascinating area. A lot of books to study. It is in fact a rabbit hole once you start this way. And that reminds me, there is another fabulous book called Reaching Down the Rabbit Hole. It's by Alan Roper and Brian David something. So a lot of fabulous books that you can pick and choose on the basis of the stage of life you are in and you think you'll benefit from those. Some classical texts which are often recommended are books like Games People Play, based on transactional analysis and all, so plenty of these things. Vedant, let's focus on the cat at the moment. Sushri, read deep work. Multitasking is useful in certain areas, certain special type of tasks, but normally it is not a great idea to focus on. It's not a great idea to multitask really. Okay. So Vaishnav is recommending a movie called American Psycho. Ritik is asking about Oppenheimer. No, yeah, Ritik, unfortunately, no. I couldn't find the time yet. I may. Okay, so with that done, let us go ahead and start with our passage. So take a couple of deep breaths, focus, let's attempt a passage and then see how that goes. Ready? So the extra thing that I've done today, apart from the fact that we are focusing on passages from psychology, is that I'm kind of bringing the question stems closer to the kind of question stems that we've encountered in the last couple of years of the exam. So ready? Here you go. Let's start. Oh, Shraddha, that's fantastic. Srishtu, great, great, great. Hanji, where are the rest of us? Come on. Brain bound affect. Affect is used in the psychology in the sense of feelings or emotions. So brain bound feeling program. So human beings are also a bit like computers, right? We receive some external stimulus and we respond to it in a particular pre-programmed sort of way. So that's what is being talked about here. But then a lot of us pay a lot of attention to individual words or expressions when you can very easily answer the questions even when you don't understand them. So let's try if we can do it this time around. Here is the next paragraph for you. Go ahead, read this. Oof, I loved this particular way of phrasing it. Culture adds color, but in small, unguarded moments, our shared humanity leaks out. Ooh, what a nice expression. Done, guys? let me move a little away. And here is the next paragraph. Done. Okay, a couple of you have gone through this. How about the rest? And here is the last paragraph. Armchair debates says Vaishnav, where you sit in your drawing room and discuss something instead of going out and finding out the truth. This is a very commonly used expression in the newspapers and the TV channels around us. You talk about armchair economists, armchair social workers, socialites. Okay, Ritik has a doubt. Ritik, speed reading is where you sit down with the solitary intention to increase your reading speed. When you read a passage, are you supposed to go faster than what you're comfortable with? Are you supposed to be consciously fast? No. Speed reading session ensures that your overall speed grows. The speed at which you're comfortable reading increases. Right? So, I hope that addresses it in a nutshell. So here are the questions. The first one, what's your take? Each of the following statements is not unlikely to be the author's viewpoint except which one? Just those convoluted question stems which are being used in the CAT of late. So what's your take on this? Answers, guys, answers. Okay. So can I say, look at unlikely and accept are anyway negatives, so they cancel each other out. So basically, we are supposed to look for which of the following is not likely to be the author's viewpoint. So which of the following is not likely to be the author's viewpoint? So let's see. A, the basic emotion theory is more palatable to most people than the diversity thesis. I think this is something that we can definitely infer. Let me take you to the relevant part. So check this. When I say the universality thesis appeals to our intuition, that somewhere deep down we are all the same. So it appeals to our intuition. Anything that appeals to our intuition, anything that appeals to our common sense is more readily accepted. On the other hand, when we talk about the diversity thesis, look at this. This view has come under attack from a small but growing group of researchers. So, considering that this hypothesis is being used by a small group of people and not a large group, tells us that it is less palatable. So this is in agreement with what the author has said, so it should not be our answer. Let's look at B. The basic emotion theory was not given much importance in the early 1970s. Hey, this is false as per the passage. The theory was developed in the 60s. What the passage says is that there was not much done from 1976 to some period. But immediately after that theory, it was widely accepted, discussed, debated, right? So early 70s, it was definitely given importance. It's only from 1976 onwards that it kind of went to the back burner. C, the real test for the totality of emotions could only be field-based and among isolated communities. Second last paragraph can be inferred from there. D, iconoclast researchers do not believe emotions are derived from pre-built responses. Correct. It is mentioned in the second paragraph. So A, C and D are in agreement with the passage. B is not in agreement with the passage, and therefore we say that B is not likely to be the author's viewpoint, and that is why our answer here is option B. And Ritik, yes, absolutely. When you refer to the right area, you may need to go through it slow if you've not been able to understand it when you've gone fast. Here is the next question for you. According to the passage, each of the following statements is not untrue except which one? Damn, these convoluted question stems. Shall we look at it? So first up, not untrue except 3 negatives. Let's cancel out 2 of them. Let's remove not, let's remove except. So that's simple. According to the passage, each of the following statements is untrue. Like we've removed except, so even remove this. Can I say one of the following statements is untrue? So which one? So simply identify the one which is untrue, which is not true. Okay, so A, totally discounts her genetic makeup. No, it does not totally discount her genetic makeup. It goes on to say that it depends not just on biology but also on context, culture. So when you say it depends not just on biology, you think that biology is also a factor, and genetics, by the virtue of being a part of the biology, becomes a factor. So yes, A is true according to the, so A is untrue according to the passage. How about B? Emotions such as happy, sad, angry are triggered by external stimuli. That's true. This is mentioned in the last sentence of the first paragraph if you were to refer to the first paragraph. C, according to the universality theory, responses to feelings are the same for all humans. Yes, according to universality theory, that's exactly the definition. D, according to the diversity thesis, culture, language, context play a significant role in depicting emotions. Yes, that's also true. Right. So B, C and D are true, A is not true. We are looking for something which is untrue, that is not true. So our answer here should be A. Right? So with that, let's dive into the next question. Question number 3, what is the main objective of the passage? In case you do want me to refer to the relevant part of the passage, let me know and I can take you there. This is the main idea question. By now you've had plenty of practice on this. So what's your take? So 3 answers: Vedant, Anjila, Vaishnav, Harshit, Palak, Shristu. Absolutely right here. The correct answer is indeed C. We're talking about 2 differing theories. The author is not, Gango is not going to prove that it is the correct. He's, once again, B is a variation of A. He's not here to debunk the theory, and the focus is not on Papua New Guinea Islanders as being different to Westerners. In fact, going by the first passage, they were similar to Westerners. They were similar to Westerners when it came to depicting emotions. First paragraph. They were not different. And in fact, that was the experiment which led to the universality thesis of Ekman, and therefore D is factually incorrect too, and thus can be ruled out, can be eliminated. And here comes your 4th question. So what do you think? Which of the following statements can be thesis? Ritik, in this context is like a theory, okay? A hypothesis or a theory. So which of the following statements can be properly concluded from the 4th paragraph? Let me take you back to the 4th paragraph, but then you can do it. We are on YouTube, right? So just use your seeker, go to the 4th paragraph, come back, and then we'll see. So which one would you mark, would you label as true on the basis of the passage? Hey, are you guys not giving me the answers, or is my chat stuck? Let me refresh this. Yeah, Ritik Kumar Parith, when you just say passage, yeah, that's a noun. भाई noun के साथ जब तक verb नहीं लगेगी sentence बनेगा कैसे, meaning निकलेगा कैसे? In case you're saying, yeah, where is the passage? It's a YouTube video. You can use the seeker of the video to go back to the 4th paragraph. No, there were 4 paragraphs, so we're talking about the last one. So if you look at it, the 4th paragraph talks about Trobrianders. Now, Trobrianders were not able to identify various emotions correctly in Crivelli's experiments, unlike in the experiments conducted by Paul Ekman in his basic universal emotion theory. So A is definitely true. Then if we look at B, Crivelli's findings were flawed since 93% of Spaniards could depict the correct emotion as compared to only 58% of the Trobrianders. There is nothing in the fourth paragraph that says that his findings were flawed. His findings were what they were. Spaniards were a control group. We need a control group to check whether whatever we were using had a desired impact or not. So B is not true. A is true, B is not true. Let's remove it. C, Trobrianders have different facial expressions to certain emotions that Westerners. In data insufficient, and therefore we say can't say. They were not able to recognize certain emotions. Does that, by looking at the faces, does that mean that they have different facial expressions? They may not. It's probably true, but we cannot be 100% sure. Then D, the Spaniards were able to identify more facial expressions because these expressions were Western in nature and origin. Can't say. Maybe. It's probably true, but we cannot really say that. And therefore, you notice A is the only part which is true. And even if you go with D, let's look at A versus D. Which one of these was the true intent, the main idea that the passage tried to, or the paragraph tried to convey? Okay. In Crivelli's experiment contradicted Paul Ekman's experiment. So A is still going to be a more accurate, a superior answer choice, and that is why for question number 4 we should go ahead and choose A as our answer. Okay, so let's practice just one passage today. We can practice some more passages subsequently, otherwise we'll run out of the time that is allotted to us. We don't have enough time to finish an entire passage now. So that's about the passage, and here is something for you to think over. Now seriously, tell me, is it happening to you? Do you have everything under control? If yes, then Mario Andretti is a legend in the world of motor racing, okay? Had a really long career. He used to say that if you have everything under control, you are not moving fast enough. So see if you can go faster now. Right? So that's it for today. If you think this session told you a little more about psychology and you love working with me, show that by pressing the like button for the session. And once again, a reminder about the All India Open Mock. Enrollments are now open for our test series as well, which gives you access to more than 80 mocks. They cover all the exams, not only the CAT but all the other exams as well, and in total you'd have roughly 10,000 practice questions. So that's a lot for any serious aspirant. And if you want to get these great percentiles, do consider a full-time comprehensive program. You can sample it by unlocking your free 3-day trial. And here is a bit of information about the next workshop that we are conducting. It is on 20th of August, where Srinivas sir will talk about MBA, why, how and when. So if this is a topic that you wanted to know and learn more about, please make sure that you register and attend it. That's it from me today. If you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to reach out on any of these platforms. So until I see you next, stay safe, stay focused, stay in touch. Have a nice day. Jai Hind.